Hi, in this topic we will look at print awareness and print concepts, one early literacy component that helps children learn to read. The underlying principle is that print has meaning. It includes the ability to notice environmental print like logos, knowing how to handle a book, knowing the direction of text, so in English it's from left to right, and knowing what the role of the author and illustrator are. So why is print awareness important? Well, because even for 4-year-olds, 95% of their visual attention is directed toward the pictures. With the help of adults talking about print and pointing to words, children come to realize that we're reading the text, not the pictures. And also, in addition, as children become more comfortable handling books, then when they're learning to read, they don't have to think about how to handle the book. They're already familiar with it, and they can concentrate on reading. Here you get a brief overview of the progression of print awareness and print concepts. Babies get to know books by mouthing them and batting at the pages. Toddlers may know when a book is upside down and can turn board book pages. Preschoolers may run their finger under the text in the direction of reading, even though they might not be able to read the words. And for younger children, they can read logos. They recognize logos. Older children can recognize some words. So you'll see this progression reflected in the early literacy planning tool. It is how you share books with children that can develop their print awareness and print concepts. I'll share with you some examples. Keep in mind that you'll not be doing all of these in one story time. Just as these are examples, like in the early literacy planning tool, here are some possibilities of ways you can support print concepts. So how can we support print awareness for babies? We know they like to chew on books, really on anything. That's how they learn. You can reassure parents that babies chew on books. Don't worry, they're exploring the book. And they bat at the pages. This is the beginning of learning how to turn pages. And we can also label pictures as we read them, pointing to the picture and saying what it is. The older end of this group, the toddlers, are learning that pictures represent real things. Sometimes you might see babies and toddlers try to bite the picture of the banana, thinking that it's the real banana. So when possible, you can point to the picture of a banana, for example, and then show them the real banana. If you can't do this in a story time, then you can suggest it as something that parents can do at home. This helps the children realize that the picture is representing a real object. For the toddlers and twos, you can point to and talk about words of interest to the children. You might purposely hold the book upside down and say, "Oh, I can't read it like this. It's upside down. Let me turn it right side up. Now I can read the words." There are so many books that have words with interesting fonts. They may be written in a different color or be a different size, or might be written in such a way as to express the meaning of the word. Here with "please, puppy, please," I might point out how the word "please" is written larger, so I'm going to say it louder. Please, puppy, please. We're not talking here about the individual letters, just looking at the whole word itself. For our preschoolers, we can point to words in repeated phrases as they say the words. So, for example, "they didn't go fast" and "they didn't go far" is a repeated phrase. We can also point out print concepts, like, for example, the exclamation mark after pop, and that makes us emphasize that sentence. Here again, the boom is written in a different font, and we could point to that as we say it. Keep in mind, you don't have to interrupt the book to do some of these things. You can always finish the book and then come back to a page and point out some of these items to support the early literacy component. I sometimes get asked by parents if they should run their finger under each word. I tell them if running their finger under the words helps them to read, then sure, they can do that. However, if running their finger under all the words slows them down, then they should just point to words in a repeated phrase or some special words. For preschoolers, we can also point out the parts of factual books, like the table of contents and the glossary. Preschoolers often recognize some words, especially words they're interested in, like elephant. Take a moment here to think about what you could do to illustrate print concepts on these pages. So pause the recording and note your ideas in the Learner's Guide for this topic. When you're done, you can resume the recording. This slide shows what another group of Storytime providers marked to illustrate print concepts. So they pointed out reading and writing in the story, like the elephant is reading the labels. There's an envelope, so somebody wrote a letter. The speech bubbles, you can see, are a print concept. And happy is written in a different color and in all caps. The font never has a little reddish background in the speech bubble, so maybe he sounds a little more emotional, maybe a little meaner. So let's look now at connecting the 5 practices to print awareness and print concepts. We've already done the reading part. To support talking and print awareness, you might offer suggestions to parents and caregivers about ways they can point out logos and signs as they go about their day. Of course, you can point out signs in the library as well, and some people label things around the room. For singing, we often sing without the written words in front of us. However, if we want to support print awareness as we sing, we might add a songbook. So we might first just sing 5 Little Monkeys Jumping on the Bed, and then we might do it again with a book. Another way to support print awareness with singing is to write out the words on a flip chart, or some people project them from a PowerPoint. And then the adults can follow the words as you sing the song together. I have found that when I have the books up on the words to the song on a flip chart, I get a lot more participation from the adults than either if I don't have the words up, or if I've given them a sheet of paper with the words and they're holding the sheet of paper, they're looking down, and it's just harder to hold the paper and help the children at the same time. We get much more participation when we have the words up for everybody. Writing is one of the best ways to support print awareness. Writing, including scribbling and drawing, helps children make the connection between what is written and what is said. If a child draws a heart, he may say, "This says, I love you." Or a child might draw a picture, and you may not be able to tell what it is, but the child will tell you what they drew. So you might have adults write down what the child says. Children may try writing their names, even if it's kind of drawing the letters, and the letters may or may not be in order, but it's a first step. As children play, we can add writing materials and signs to support print awareness. For example, even when they're playing in the library, whether at a playtime after story time or as part of toys in the picture book area, there are opportunities to add signs and writing. You might also label objects around the room. You can add a pad and paper or utensils to write with for restaurant play, have them make menus. If playtime is not a part of your story time, then you can make suggestions to parents on ways to include writing at playtime at home. Here we are again with the Early Literacy Planning Tool and the worksheet. You've already checked off some of the items you're doing now already that support print awareness and print concepts. So as you look at the Early Literacy Planning tool again, what other strategies might you like to try to be more intentional around print awareness and print concepts? This concludes the presentation on print awareness and print concepts. Thank you.